The pain medication made everything hazy, but I could still feel her eyes on me. Georgia, 20 years old, with golden blonde hair that caught the afternoon light streaming through my bedroom window, and those impossibly blue eyes that seemed to see right through me. She'd been my caretaker for 3 days now, ever since I came home from the hospital with a titanium rod in my femur and strict orders not to put weight on my left leg for 6 weeks. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching. "How are we feeling today, Miss Smith?" she asked, setting down a tray with my lunch. Her voice had this gentle quality that made my chest feel warm in ways I couldn't quite understand. "Chloe," I corrected her for the 3rd time. "Just Chloe." She smiled, and I noticed the way her full lips curved upward, the slight dimple in her left cheek. "Right, Chloe." The way she said my name sent an unexpected shiver down my spine. The accident had happened 6 weeks after my divorce was finalized. Marcus and I had been done for months before the papers were signed, our marriage dissolving slowly like sugar in rain. 22 years together, and in the end, we were strangers sharing a house. The night I signed the papers, I'd gone for a drive to clear my head. I never saw the drunk driver who ran the red light. 3 surgeries later, here I was, dependent on a stranger who was young enough to be, well, young enough to make me feel ancient and foolish for the thoughts that kept creeping into my mind. "I brought some fresh flowers from the garden," Georgia said, arranging white roses in a vase on my nightstand. "Your neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, insisted. She says roses help with healing." I watched her move around my room with practiced efficiency, straightening pillows, checking my water glass, adjusting the curtains. There was something graceful about the way she moved, like she was dancing to music only she could hear. Her scrub top was a soft lavender that brought out her eyes, and when she leaned over to check my bandages, I caught a hint of her perfume, something light and floral that made me want to breathe deeper. "You don't have to fuss over everything," I said, though I didn't really want her to stop. The house had been so quiet since Marcus left. Having someone here, even a professional caretaker, made it feel alive again. "It's not fussing," she said, sitting on the edge of my bed. "It's caring. There's a difference." The mattress dipped slightly under her weight, and suddenly she was close enough that I could see the tiny freckles scattered across her nose, the way her eyelashes were darker at the roots than at the tips. My heart did something strange, a flutter that had nothing to do with pain medication. "Tell me about yourself," I heard myself saying. "I mean, if you want to, we're going to be stuck together for weeks." Georgia laughed, a sound like wind chimes. "Stuck together? Is that how you see it?" "I didn't mean—" "I'm teasing," she said, her hand briefly touching my arm. Even through the fabric of my sleep shirt, her touch felt electric. "What would you like to know?" "Everything," I said without thinking, then felt heat rise in my cheeks. "I mean, whatever you're comfortable sharing." She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, and I found myself memorizing the gesture. "Well, I'm 20. Just finished my first year of nursing school. I live with my girlfriend, well, ex-girlfriend now, in an apartment downtown." She paused, studying my face. "Is that okay? That I mentioned, you know, that you're gay?" I asked, surprised by how easily the words came out. "Of course it's okay. Why wouldn't it be?" "Some clients get uncomfortable, especially after divorces. They think I'm going to—" She trailed off, shrugging. "Going to what?" "Hit on them, I guess. Turn them gay." She laughed, but there was something careful in her expression. "As if it works that way." I felt something shift inside me, like a door opening in a room I'd never known existed. "And if someone wanted to be turned?" The words slipped out before I could stop them. Georgia's eyes widened slightly. "Chloe, I'm sorry," I said quickly. "That was inappropriate. You're here to take care of me, not listen to my post-divorce crisis ramblings." "Is that what this is?" she asked softly. "A crisis?" I stared at the ceiling, trying to find words for feelings I didn't understand. "I don't know what this is. I was married for 22 years. I thought I knew who I was, what I wanted. And now?" I gestured vaguely at myself, at the room, at the mess my life had become. "Now you're discovering there might be more to you than you realized." Something like that. I turned to look at her. "Does that sound crazy?" "Not at all." Georgia's voice was gentle. "Can I tell you something?" I nodded. "I've never been with anyone who hadn't already figured themselves out, who was just discovering. But watching you these past few days, seeing the way you look at me sometimes—" She paused, her cheeks flushing pink. "I think you're beautiful, Chloe, and brave. And if you want to explore what you're feeling, I'd like to help." My breath caught. "Georgia, we don't have to do anything you don't want to do," she said quickly. "But if you're curious—" Before I could lose my nerve, I reached out and touched her hand. Her skin was soft, warm, real. "I'm curious," I whispered. She turned her hand palm up, intertwining our fingers. Such a simple gesture, but it felt like the most intimate thing I'd ever experienced. We sat like that for a long moment, just holding hands, and I marveled at how natural it felt. "We should probably take this slow," Georgia said. "Probably," I agreed, though part of me wanted to throw caution aside entirely. Over the next week, slow became our rhythm. Georgia would sit with me during meals, our conversations ranging from books to movies to dreams we'd never shared with anyone else. She told me about growing up in a small town where being different meant being invisible, about the relief of finding herself in college, about the girlfriend who'd broken up with her the week before she started working for me. "She said I was too much," Georgia confided one evening as she helped me into the shower chair. "Too intense, too emotional, too everything." "You're not too much," I said, meaning it. "You're exactly enough." The bathroom was filled with steam, and through the frosted glass shower door, I could see Georgia's silhouette as she waited with towels. The intimacy of it, her caring for me in my most vulnerable state, felt both natural and charged with possibility. "Can I ask you something?" Georgia's voice was muffled by the running water. "Anything. What was it like, being married to a man for so long?" I thought about how to answer. "Safe, I guess. Expected. I did what I was supposed to do. Got married, bought a house, tried to have kids. The last part still stung. 3 miscarriages, years of fertility treatments, the slow erosion of hope. But I never felt electric. Does that make sense?" "Perfect sense." "What about you? When did you know?" I think I always knew deep down. But the first time I kissed a girl, I was 16. It was like finally coming home to myself. When I finished showering, Georgia wrapped me in a fluffy towel, her movements careful and professional. But when our eyes met, there was nothing professional about the way she looked at me. "Chloe," she whispered. "Yes?" Would it be okay if I kissed you?" Instead of answering, I leaned forward, closing the space between us. Our lips met softly, tentatively, and I felt something inside me bloom like a flower opening to sunlight. Georgia's hands came up to frame my face, her touch gentle but sure. When we broke apart, I was breathless. "Oh," I said. "Good O or bad O?" "Revelatory O." She smiled, and I felt like I was seeing her clearly for the first time. Not as my caretaker, not as someone decades younger than me, but as a woman who made my heart race and my skin tingle and my world tilt on its axis. "We should probably get you back to bed," she said, but her hands were still on my face, her thumbs tracing my cheekbones. "Probably," I agreed, making no move to step away. That night, as I lay in bed replaying the kiss over and over, I tried to understand what was happening to me. With Marcus, physical intimacy had always felt like something I was supposed to want, rather than something I actually craved. His kisses were familiar, predictable, like following a script I'd memorized but never truly felt. But George's kiss had been different. Electric. It had awakened something in me that I didn't even know had been sleeping. I found myself touching my lips, remembering the softness of hers, the way she'd tasted faintly of the mint tea we'd shared earlier. The memory sent warmth spreading through my chest, settling low in my belly in a way that felt entirely new. With men, desire had always felt like an obligation, something I performed rather than experienced. But this felt like coming alive. The next 2 weeks passed in a haze of stolen moments. Georgia would help me with my physical therapy exercises, her hands guiding my movements, and I'd find myself getting lost in the sensation of her touch. We'd watch movies together on my laptop, curled up on my bed, and I'd spend more time watching her profile in the glow of the screen than following the plot. One afternoon, she was painting my toenails, a bright coral color I never would have chosen for myself, when she looked up and said, "You know this is complicated, right?" "Which part?" I asked, though I knew exactly what she meant. "All of it. You're my client. You're going through a major life transition. The age difference. How old do you think I am?" I interrupted, suddenly curious. She tilted her head, studying me. "I don't know. Does it matter?" "It might." "You're beautiful," she said instead of answering. "You're kind and smart and funny. You make me feel things I've never felt before. That's what matters to me." Something in her voice made my chest tight. "What kind of things?" She set down the nail polish and moved up the bed until she was lying beside me, her body creating a warm line along my side. The simple contact sent shivers through me, not the polite, distant touching I'd grown accustomed to in my marriage, but something that felt like fire under my skin. Her hand found mine, fingers intertwining, and I marveled at how perfectly they fit together, how natural it felt to have her palm pressed against mine. "Like I want to take care of you even after you don't need taking care of," she said, her thumb tracing circles on the back of my hand. The gentle motion was hypnotic, each circle sending little sparks up my arm. "Like I want to learn all your secrets and tell you all of mine. Like I want to wake up next to you and make you coffee and argue about what to watch on Netflix." I turned on my side to face her, our bodies now curved toward each other like parentheses. Her free hand came up to brush a strand of hair from my face, her fingertips lingering on my cheek. The touch was so gentle, so reverent, that it brought tears to my eyes. Marcus had never touched me like I was precious, like I was something to be cherished rather than possessed. "Georgia." "Like I might be falling in love with you," she finished quietly. The words hung in the air between us. I reached out and touched her face. This beautiful young woman who'd walked into my life when I least expected it and shown me parts of myself I'd never known existed. Her skin was impossibly soft under my fingertips, and when I traced the line of her jaw, she leaned into my touch with a little sigh that made my heart skip. "I think I might be falling in love with you too," I whispered. She kissed me then, deeper than before, her hands tangling in my hair. The sensation was overwhelming, the silky weight of her hair falling around us like a curtain, the warmth of her breath mixing with mine, the way her body pressed against me with a hunger that matched my own. I pulled her closer, forgetting about my healing leg, forgetting about everything except the way she felt against me, solid and real and perfect. Her hands roamed over my shoulders, down my arms, mapping the landscape of my body with a reverence that made me feel beautiful for the first time in years. When she pressed kisses along my neck, her lips soft and warm against my pulse point, I heard myself make a sound I'd never made before, something between a sigh and a moan that seemed to come from somewhere deep inside me. This was nothing like the mechanical intimacy I'd known with Marcus. This felt like worship, like devotion, like coming home to a version of myself I'd never known existed. Every touch sent electricity racing through my veins. Every kiss left me hungry for more. Georgia's hands were gentle but sure, her touch awakening nerve endings I'd forgotten I had. "Is this okay?" she whispered against my collarbone. And the fact that she asked, that she cared about my comfort and consent in a way no one ever had, made me love her even more. "More than okay," I breathed, my hands finding the soft skin at the small of her back, pulling her impossibly closer. We were so lost in each other that we didn't hear the front door open, didn't hear footsteps on the stairs, didn't realize we weren't alone until Marcus's voice cut through the air like a blade. "What the hell is going on here?" Georgia and I sprang apart, but it was too late. Marcus stood in the doorway, his face cycling through confusion, shock, and something that looked like disgust. "Marcus," I said, my voice shakier than I wanted it to be. "What are you doing here?" "I came to check on you. Mrs. Peterson said you weren't answering your phone." His eyes moved between Georgia and me, taking in our tangled hair, our flushed faces, the intimate way we'd been lying together. "Jesus, Chloe, she's a child." "I'm 20, Georgia said quietly, sitting up straighter. "Exactly," Marcus spat. "What is this? Some kind of midlife crisis? You get your leg broken and suddenly decide you're a lesbian?" The words hit me like a slap, but instead of shrinking away, I felt something fierce and protective rise up in my chest. "Get out," I said. "Chloe, get out of my house, Marcus, now." "This is insane. You can't be serious about this. This girl." I looked at Georgia, at the way she was holding herself so carefully, like she was trying not to take up too much space, at the hurt in her eyes that she was trying to hide, at this person who'd brought light back into my life when I thought I'd lost it forever. "Her name is Georgia," I said, my voice stronger now. "And yes, I'm serious about her. I'm serious about us." Marcus stared at me for a long moment, then shook his head. "I don't know who you are anymore." "Maybe that's the point," I said. "Maybe I'm finally figuring out who I actually am." After he left, Georgia and I sat in silence for a while. Finally, she spoke. "Are you okay?" "I think so." I took her hand. "Are you?" She nodded, then asked quietly, "What happens now?" I thought about it, about Marcus's reaction, about what people would say, about all the complications and judgments and difficulties that lay ahead. Then I looked at Georgia and saw my future. "Now I call my sister," I said. "And my parents. And I tell them I'm in love with an amazing woman named Georgia Thomas." "What if they react like Marcus did?" "Then they'll have to figure out a way to deal with it," I said. "Because I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not just to make other people comfortable." Georgia smiled then, the first real smile I'd seen from her since Marcus burst in. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." 2 days later, I made the calls. My sister cried. Happy tears, she assured me. My parents were quiet. Then my mother said, "All I want is for you to be happy, sweetheart. If Georgia makes you happy, then we want to meet her." The road ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be stares and whispers, and people who thought they understood our story better than we did. But lying there with Georgia's arms around me, her head on my shoulder, her breathing soft and even as she slept, I felt more like myself than I ever had. In the quiet darkness, I marveled at the difference. With Marcus, I'd always felt like I was playing a role, the dutiful wife, the woman who was supposed to want what society told her to want. Even in our most intimate moments, there had been a distance, a sense that I was going through the motions of desire rather than feeling it. I thought that was normal, that passion was something that only existed in movies and novels. But with Georgia, everything was different. The way she looked at me made me feel seen, truly seen, for the first time in my life. When she touched me, it wasn't just physical contact. It was connection, communication, a conversation conducted entirely in sensation and breath and heartbeat. Her hands seemed to know exactly where I needed to be touched, how much pressure to apply, when to be gentle, and when to be more insistent. I traced lazy patterns on her bare shoulder, feeling the smoothness of her skin, the delicate architecture of her collarbone. She murmured something in her sleep and shifted closer, throwing her leg over mine, anchoring us together. The weight of her against me felt perfect, like puzzle pieces finally finding their match. For 22 years, I'd been living in black and white, thinking it was the full spectrum. Now I understood what color looked like. This was what desire was supposed to feel like. Not an obligation or a performance, but a hunger, a need that started in my chest and spread outward until every cell in my body was singing with want. Georgia stirred, her eyes fluttering open in the dim light. "Hey," she whispered, her voice husky with sleep. "Hey yourself," I whispered back, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "What are you thinking about?" "You," I said honestly. "This. How different everything feels." She smiled, her hand finding mine under the covers. "Different how?" "Like I've been sleepwalking my whole life and you woke me up. Sometimes it takes breaking a bone to learn you're stronger than you thought. Sometimes it takes a stranger to help you find your way home. And sometimes love arrives exactly when you need it most, in exactly the form you least expect." My leg would heal. My heart already had, in ways I never knew it was broken. And this new version of myself, the one who could love fearlessly, who could desire without shame, who could choose authenticity over expectation, she was someone I was just beginning to meet. But I liked her already.